Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game S Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about when you can expect that next Nintendo Direct. And Tomodachi Life is a blockbuster. It's going to be a good one because we have Rachel Kaser on the show. Rachel, how are you doing?
Hi, Jeff. I've missed you.
Yeah, I missed you too.
We haven't talked in ages since I sent you a picture of the Balan Wonderworld game that I found at a thrift store. I thought I
Yes.
scared you off.
You hurt me. Yes, I was scared is the right word. Absolutely. I have definitely received a couple new copies of Balan Wonderworld in my PO box since the last time we talked. I got a couple. Hang on, I got it right here. I got it with arms
from
reach.
Me, Jeff.
We'll let the courts decide. All right. When I see you in court, we'll figure that out. I got multiple copies of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So that's ominous. I'm going to have to do something about that, probably for Blight Club here at some point.
I was about to say, like, am I detecting a new Blight Club? Maybe a Christmas Blight Club?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's coming up fast. The year's going by quickly. We got to be prepared, and now I very much am, despite not wanting to be prepared for that. But yeah, you've been traveling. You said you just flew in this morning, and you're doing the show. So one, thank you, and two, how are you doing? Like, how you hanging in there?
I mean, I'm pretty tired because I just got back from GamesBeat Summit, which we just had in Los Angeles. And this is not a complaint about the summit, but on the way back, I was about to fly back, and then I got a message saying that my flight's been canceled because there's bad weather in Dallas.
Yep.
The bad weather being a little bit of rain.
Yeah, right.
Everyone was just so like precious about it, and I was like, "Come on!"
Right, but come on, let's be grown-ups here. It's a little bit of rain.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to reroute me, and I was like, okay, like let's see what the next booking is. The next flight they have me on is a flight to Albuquerque, New Mexico, a 7-hour layover in Albuquerque, and then a flight back to Dallas, which would put me back in Dallas like 8 p.m. tonight. And I'm like,
yeah,
it would be faster just to get a car in Albuquerque and drive back to Texas.
Yeah, not that far at that point. Although I've heard Texas is big, so who knows?
Texas is big, but I mean, other than that, GamesBeat Summit was amazing. So I was very happy to be part of that. I sent you pictures of my fits from the days because I do like to wear costumes during the event.
Definitely gotta check these out. You were telling us about one. You had Vaporeon. You had Vaporeon stitched into there?
I had my shiny Vaporeon plush stitched onto the shoulder of my shirt so that she was riding on my shoulder all day.
Okay. Love that. Yes, we'll check out the puppy as well.
The stitches broke just as I was sitting down to eat a donut, and she face planted right into the chocolate. I was like, girl, if you wanted chocolate, all you had to do was say so.
You didn't have to jump off my clothes. Sheesh. All right. Well, I'm excited to check those out. Excited to have you on the show. Glad we could make it happen. Let's explain ourselves here, though. We're Giant Bomb. Go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. It supports independent games media, supports us doing fun and dumb stuff over here, and we really, really appreciate it. What it's going to get you is ad-free versions of our shows, early access to some stuff that drops on premium like about a week early right now. That's happening with Bully, the endurance run. You can get the episodes a week early. It also gets you all the access to the premium exclusive shows, of which there are many to choose from, and we're going to always be doing more. We really like it. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of opened up our eyes to like some more creative ways of handling things, and we can do that because you support us, so thank you. As far as this show goes, most weekdays.
Support Giant Bomb, please. I'm a member.
Support GamesBeat. Absolutely.
Thank you, yes. And you don't even, all you need to do is send us your email address and I'll send you newsletters. It's great.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, everybody. All right. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with, the Nintendo Direct stuff. Yeah, I talked about it on the Bombcast yesterday, and I think that people are right to be like, it's June, Nintendo, they're going to have a Direct. They didn't have one last year. They did have a Bonanza, a specific Direct, in June, like later in that month. And then they had a partner showcase Direct in July.
Yeah.
So now, of course, things were thrown off there because the Switch 2 just launched, and that threw off the timing. But it has been more than 200, I want to say more than 250 days since the last general direct. And it does feel like this one's lining up to probably be one. I can't confirm that part of it, that it's a general direct, but I'm assuming that it is. And because
I would
it
hope
feels like it
so.
would be. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Why would you hope so? Because I'm with you, but what like brings you to that line of thinking?
Because I feel like Nintendo is bracing for a decline in Switch 2 sales. They've even said so publicly in their earnings report that they expect this next fiscal year to have a drop off in Switch 2 sales. But I also think that just because they know that doesn't mean they're necessarily not going to try and boost sales in whatever way they can. So I think in this case it's going to be they're going to start putting out more Switch 2 the trailers for more Switch 2 exclusive games. Whatever they've got in the pipeline, I think they're going to show it in June just to try to grab onto the sales, especially to try and grab sales before the Switch 2 price hike in September.
Yes, I mean they are. I think that is a very key point, because why announce the price increase way ahead of time? Oh, to be nice, to make sure that people have plenty of time to make sure. Okay, no, that's not why
No.
they're doing it. We know
No.
we're gonna see what's happening here with the Circana report with PlayStation here in a second, when they had a price increase and they gave it a week, and how much sales happened in that week and really kind of affected things for them. This is clearly a strategic decision made by Nintendo. So how do you pair that up with the excitement and the hype around the system? Well, clearly you want to hit those things at the same time. There is the urgency to buy the console because you know the price is going up by September. Okay, that's one piece of the puzzle. What am I going to get to play when I do drop the money? That helps complete the story, which is, I talk about this on almost every episode, the narrative we tell ourselves when we're buying stuff. It's how this stuff works. Nintendo fully understands that. So I do think that they are going to have to be like, yes, you already know about a bunch of our games. Here's what's filling out the second half of the calendar that you're going to get to enjoy because you purchased this thing in September and it's set, or before September, and it set you up to enjoy the rest of the year. And I think, Ocarina of Time is big enough, right, Rachel? If they're doing a full-fledged remake of that, which again, can't confirm.
If that's what it is, that's the rumor I'm hearing too. So if that's what it is, then yeah, I think that could definitely be a system seller. Although I will note that system sellers for the Switch 2 have not necessarily been what I think anyone expected them to be.
Yeah, not early on.
Although, I mean, well, we'll talk about that when we get into the Circana report. But yeah, I think Nintendo is going to try and take whatever is in the pipeline, throw all the trailers at them, and then I think every trailer will get in like the sales of that particular fandom. If it's Zelda, if it's Mario, if it's fingers crossed a little Fire Emblem maybe. I'll keep banging that drum. I'm not holding out hope for more Bayonetta, but I can hope for Fire Emblem. But whatever it is, they'll bring in that fan base for the Switch 2 sales. They're going to grab as much as they can before.
Yeah,
Before the price increase.
I don't think you're gonna have to wait long for that Fire Emblem game. I think that game is coming out before all this stuff goes crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if Fire Emblem kind of hits in August, September, and they make that like one of the games. Since we already know about that, you pair that up with the price increase, and then Zelda's the holiday game along with some other stuff that we don't really fully know yet. Nintendo does have pretty big gaps after that September period, so they're going to be probably doing stuff around SGF, I would guess, for stuff that is coming out in June and July, of which they have a lot. They're probably going to want to talk about Rhythm Heaven Groove. That can't be the focus of the direct. So that does make me feel like it's general.
Yeah, I don't think they would put that out specifically for that, but I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Nintendo's proven me wrong before.
Yep. All right, let's get into some of these other headlines here. The April 2026 U.S. video game market highlights thread from Circana's Matt Piscatella went live today. He notes that U.S. video game spending grew 3% in April, led by Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. That is the headliner between games and hardware. That's the thing he called out. That's kind of impressive for Tomodachi Life for sure. Let's see here. As far as video game content spending, that was up 2%. Video game hardware up 34%. That is almost entirely the Switch 2 offsetting things. We'll talk about that here in a second as well.
Yeah.
Let's read that sort of headline stuff here from Matt. U.S. video game spending totaled $4.3 billion in April. That is that 3% growth when compared to a year ago. Year to date, 2026 spending finished the month 5% higher than 2025 at $18.8 billion. Gains across content and hardware offset declines, or it did offset declines in accessories. April 2026 featured the debut also of Circana's new top 10 that they're going to be doing, where they're going to be combining physical and digital sales. They used to do this for a little while. Then they kind of, I think when Matt took over, he kind of reset things and was like, I'm just going to include stuff we have hard data for. And that means there's going to be games without digital sales going up against games with both physical and digital. So it's not, we're just going to give you the pure information. They're starting to extrapolate, and they're pretty good at it over there. So the top 10 that they have here is number 1 was Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. So the top selling game in the United States for that month. Obviously helps that it was a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 game. But the story we heard from Nintendo is almost half of players were playing it on Switch 2, which is pretty impressive. And it does feel like that was a strong follow-up to Pocopia, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I remember when I talked to Matt last month, and he said that he was a little surprised that Pocopia was the system seller that it was. I mean, especially compared with, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metroid Prime 4. That was the one that people said, you know what, this I'm going to buy a Switch 2 for. I mean, it could just be that having all 3 of those games back to back was what prompted, but Pocopia was what moved the needle fully for a lot of people. And so seeing Tomodachi Life up there, I'm like, yeah, that I wasn't expecting that to be a system seller, but I think it probably is going to be.
Yep, I think so. And
also, if I trust anyone to do sales projections, it's definitely Matt and Circana.
Yes, I mean, they do have quite a bit of data to work from. So yeah, this makes a difference. Tomodachi Life is kind of a little bit of a meme game, and that's I mean that positively, where it has caught on as a trend on several social media platforms, and that did show up in sales numbers. There was a time when something would pop off on like Twitter, Rachel, like snakes on a plane, and it's like this is going to be huge, and that never turned into anything real. If a game is popping off on like Instagram Reels these days, I think that is a sign that it does well, that people will spend money on it. I don't totally know what the difference is. Maybe the Instagram people watching Instagram Reels are more real or something like that than the drama that would happen on Twitter. But I think that we could see that stuff that catches on that way is turning into real dollars for these companies. The number 2 game for the month was Capcom's Pragmata. Then Crimson Desert was number 3. It would have been number 1 last month based on this new way of counting stuff. And it's like, that of course it was. It was probably number 1 for quite some time. And then MLB The Show 26, Windrose, which is another one that probably would not have been on here because they don't get digital data from studios like that. And I don't think there is a physical version. And then Pokemon Pocopia, number 6, still on the chart, followed by Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2, that new collection. Then Starfield jumped from 218 because it wasn't on PlayStation 5 up to 8 because it is now on the PlayStation 5.
That
you have expected more.
That was more than I was expecting, actually.
It's more than you're expecting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I because I feel like the hype around Starfield has kind of muted a lot since it originally launched. So I wasn't expecting the PlayStation players to just jump on it, especially compared to Saros. I thought Saros would do more on PlayStation 5 than Starfield, if only by a little bit. But it's beating Saros, so I can't be mad about it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like, man, I wonder if both those games were expected to do actually better. I think you nailed it with Starfield, though. That is the proper assessment. It would be surprising, it is surprising that so many PlayStation fans were still curious about Starfield after sort of the sentiment about that game settled in and the excitement was completely taken out of the room. People like it. Many people don't like it. I'm not going to say mostly, but a lot of people don't like it. That sort of is separate from now the excitement around that game, which did feel very muted during this PlayStation 5 release. So maybe this is actually better than what it could have done otherwise.
We didn't even get like a full No Man's Sky, like, oh, Starfield's fixed now and it's on PlayStation 5.
Nothing like that.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a sort of like big push for like, here, have the better version of Starfield, PlayStation players. No, it was just sort of like, hi, here PlayStation players, here's Starfield. And then suddenly, and everyone was like, oh, yes, we'll have some of that.
Yeah. So let's see. This is what day did Saros come out? Did it come out in late April? I think it did, but
yeah.
So this reporting period is through May 2nd. It's not a ton of days for Saros probably, but I think this is clearly a sign that $70 price really held that game back, and people are waiting for it to get discounted before they jump in. Rachel, that's been our read over here. What do you think?
Yeah, that's probably correct. I was just tracking it because my best friend was really excited for Sorrows, but she went on vacation to Japan like a couple of days after it came out. So that's how I remember when Sorrows came out.
Yes, April 30th. Yeah,
She
exactly.
actually asked me to pick up because she got a physical copy of it in the mail. So she asked me to pick it up from her
Oh,
mailbox.
fun. That's great.
So
So yeah, I mean, I think that Saros just feels like they were probably expecting to do a little bit better than this. So yeah, 3 days of sale. So not a ton, but usually a lot of sales are done in those first 3 days. So you would expect a game like this to be higher if things were going well for it. That's just the reality.
yeah, I mean, ninth is not bad compared to all the other games out there, but I do feel like compared to I feel like it's not even close to Tomodachi Life.
I mean,
Like
Pocopia's an
Circana,
exclusive to Switch 2, like, right? I mean, obviously it's
yeah.
Pokemon, but it's not. This is like the third month for Pocopia or something like that. So it couldn't beat that game in its third month.
Yeah. Then again, I mean, the roguelike is a very specific genre. So
Yeah,
it maybe doesn't have the universal appeal of something like a life sim game or a Pokemon game. And
that
that's okay. That's okay.
yes, I think that's true. But like, there are roguelites that do, like Slay the Spire 2 and stuff like that. But
Good
it's
point.
I
Yeah.
think this I think it's that $70 price combined with what you're saying there. It's if this
Yeah.
game was $40, it'd be selling way more copies. Maybe it would make the same amount of money for them, but I think a lot more people would be playing it. All right, some other details here from Matt. Hardware spending increased by 34% when compared to a year ago to $261 million. Spending on Switch 2 hardware offset declines across Switch, Xbox Series, and PlayStation 5. Switch 2, again, was the best-selling hardware platform across both units and dollars for April and 2026 year-to-date. PlayStation 5, again, ranked a second across both measures.
Probably not a close second.
Yeah, definitely not a close second if it's dropping like that. But this is notable. After 66 months in the market, PlayStation 5's lifetime installed base finished April tracking 2% ahead of PlayStation 4 on a time-aligned basis. I think just last month we had Matt on here. We're talking about this. It was still, I think, maybe 2% behind PlayStation
Yeah.
4. So the urgency to go buy this system because of the price increase that happened clearly sort of put it back ahead. Now that's going
Yeah.
to settle down over time. Maybe things find an equilibrium back closer to like the PlayStation 4 sales. But this does show that there are people that jumped out to buy this thing, and they still have Grand Theft Auto 6 coming. I'm going to say that every time. That's just going to completely throw previous trends out the window once that launches. So
Yeah, we're
good for
definitely
PlayStation 5.
there's gonna be things affected a blast radius, if you will, around Grand Theft Auto 6. Like so there are definitely gonna be consoles and I think maybe even other games who get affected by that game's sales in all directions.
Yep. Uh, let's see here. Anything else worth calling out? He did have stuff to say about Tomodachi Life, best-selling game of April, delivering over $41 million in physical and projected digital spending. Let's see. It debuted as the 9th best-selling game of 2026 year to date. That's already pretty impressive. Pragmata ranked as the second best-selling game. He said that it was the best-selling game on PlayStation and placed second on the PC. Across all the storefronts, I suppose. And then third on Xbox. It was among the top 15 bestsellers of the month on Nintendo platforms. Again, I would want to see it higher for a third-party game like that. That is so well done
Yeah.
on the Switch too, right?
Yeah, I get it, but I also feel like it maybe was marketed a little bit more towards the
Definitely.
non-Nintendo consoles and the PC players.
Yep, it's one of those ones that I think the Nintendo Switch 2 audience is going to be like, let me see how these things go. I don't want to get burned on a big
Yeah.
third-party thing not running well. Good news is that it does. All right, yeah, that's the Circana report. Shouts out to Matt Piscatella as always. We'll get him back on the show soon. But yeah, Rachel, it seems like things are going how you would expect in this moment. Switch 2
Yeah.
still growing, capitalizing on its big moments of interest from certain games dropping. The price increases are coming for that thing. So that's going to change the story there. The price increases for both the Xbox and the PlayStation that happened recently, I think those things aren't really showing up in this report. So May is going to probably tell a different story, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's going to be probably the month when we see I think hardware sales sort of like bubble up under the Switch 2. It's a bad analogy, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
It's not I think the Switch 2 is definitely going to lead hardware sales probably until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out
I think that's
because
exactly right.
because I mean, it's not coming out for Switch 2. Not that I know of. Rockstar could surprise me.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. All right, let's get on to this next story. PlayStation announces June 2nd State of Play with Wolverine leading. Sony announced the State of Play for Tuesday, June 2nd at 5 p.m. Eastern, running for more than 60 minutes with updates, announcements, and gameplay reveals. It opens with a closer look at Marvel's Wolverine, including combat and new details. Sony's post also says Wolverine launches on PS5 on September 15th. Yeah, I think we've known that. There are also free Alamo Drafthouse watch parties in Raleigh, Los Angeles, the Bay Area, Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth, and New York City. You gonna go?
I mean, maybe. It's at 4 p.m. my time, so yeah, if I could find an Alamo Drafthouse that's playing it nearby, then I'll go.
Yeah. So yeah, lots. So this is pretty juicy. A couple things here. So it's a state of play, and they're not calling it a showcase. That is a distinction that certainly matters to people who observe these things. I've always called out that distinction. How much that matters to Sony, I wonder. Like, I think there's always the possibility that in the last year, they look around and go, state of play branding is something we want to use more and we care more about than a PlayStation showcase. So why do we need to call it a showcase? Let's just call it a state of play. So the next time we have a state of play that isn't quite as big, people are still excited because they remember that really big state of play. I don't know if that's what happened, Rachel, but this is a 60-minute state of play. Feels substantial, right?
It does. I mean, I will say, even if it's not fully Wolverine, it sounds like it's going to be very heavy on Marvel's Wolverine.
I think
I would
they're
say
opening with it.
probably, yeah, I would say probably at least 20 minutes of that is going to be
Oh, I wouldn't be
Wolverine.
surprised. A lot of it, yes.
Probably
Look,
more, but that's like my conservative estimate.
I don't think it'll be more. I think that I think there could be like between 10 to 20 minutes is what I would expect. And the fact that they're leading with that, it's like, yeah, let's make this the big lead. But that means they probably want to have something strong to close with.
Yeah.
I don't know what that could be. We don't
New
expect
Final Fantasy, maybe?
Yeah, God,
Part
if that showed up here, that wouldn't be too shocking actually, because that's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, does that show up at Keeley's thing? Maybe it does, but it could just as easily show up here. This is not that far removed from that. This is basically happening a week within the week of SGF.
That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that they might be able to
Granted,
pop out
chat
at
says
the end.
they'll announce Wolverine 2 at the end. So there you go.
You know what? You know what? Get ahead of the curve, sure.
Yep. Why the hell not? Yeah, I am excited to see what PlayStation's going to set up for their first party stuff. That is, it's been a weird generation. I maybe sometimes grumble a bit too much about this. Feels like it hasn't started. There's not like, where are the PlayStation games? Obviously there have been lots of PlayStation 5 games worth playing, worth caring about over the last several years. It just feels a little bit more Spartan than I would like. I would just like be like, hey, can we get maybe 3 to 4 really big games a year from you instead of what feels like 1 to 2? And I think they're going to be going into this state of play ready to talk about a lot of stuff coming up over the next year or so. So yeah, I'm getting excited for this. Where are you setting your expectation levels?
I'm trying to stay a little bit moderate in my expectations because I feel like I don't want to necessarily think that that I think they're going to try and invest more in the PlayStation 5 before they come out with the PlayStation 6. And I think that's because PlayStation 6, there's such a part shortage right now. They are not going to try to invest in a console that's going to end up costing like $1,200 a unit. Yep. So I think they're making they're going to basically turn all of this on the PlayStation 5. They're like, I don't think anybody's even developing for the PS6 right now or the theoretical PlayStation 6. I think it's probably they're saying, we're going to eke a few more years of life out of this console, and
they should.
I don't mind.
I think they should.
I don't mind. I think it's a good way of giving people their money's worth. But I also think that I don't think there's going to necessarily be a lot of new IP on display. That's the only thing that kind of concerns me, is that I think they're going to lean heavily into their established franchises. And I mean, I know Marvel's Wolverine is not like a franchise, but it's Insomniac. We know Insomniac. We know how good they are. So that's coming from a proven studio.
So I'm like, we always try to read the tea leaves on the show. This is why we talk about game sales, everybody. Knowing how a game sells does not affect whether or not you enjoy it. And if that's your primary way of interacting with games, I respect it and hope that you just stay out of this so that we do not ruin your enjoyment of games. But I do like to understand what sells, what is happening, how publishers make their decisions, so that when we are kind of trying to assess like where things are going to go, I can have some insight and try to figure out things a little bit. And right now, the thing that's coming to me when I'm looking like where is PlayStation at in terms of like what kind of games they're going to present to us, I'm actually looking at Sega a little bit. Sega, not like old Sega, like the last few weeks, Sega. They just canceled their big super game. They were like, hey, we're leaving behind this idea of we're going to have our own Fortnite. Once upon a time, that looked really appetizing, really enticing to us. But now we've seen what it's like to try to make that. And at the same time, we look over at our friends over at Epic and see them struggling to make Fortnite continue to work, which is insane. But it's like they're like, it seems like they don't have it figured out. And if they can't make Fortnite work, how are we even going to make a Fortnite in the first place and then make it work for us? Obviously, you're not going to. That's the answer we all screamed at the time when we hear these companies talking this way. But now they've come to that realization. And where is Sega going? Sega's like, we have a ton of valuable IP, and we're going to make games in those IP. Do you think like within Sony, who is reeling a little bit from a live service game strategy that has not entirely blown up in their face, but has at least like blown off a couple of fingers, they are like looking around being like, we have a ton of valuable IP. It is time to go like what Sega's doing right now, which is really following what Capcom has done, and be like, we have a ton of valuable IP. Let's get back to our basics here and make some games that people recognize.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean about about leaning into the recognizable franchises a little bit. The thing
Yeah.
about Capcom as well, though, is I feel like Capcom is sort of like they've leaned so far into their like recognizable IPs that now they are willing. They have enough in the war chest to take risks on new IP like Pragmata. But I
Yes,
don't think so.
exactly.
That's what I mean.
They've evolved. Yes.
Yeah, they've evolved. Sony has not evolved that far
No.
yet, but I think they are not far enough removed from the live service failure to have fully made the pivot, like to the
Right.
point of being able to make game announcements. Like I think like we just lost Concord not too long ago. Marathon is not a total failure. Marathon is not doing as well as Sony would like it to do.
That's
Destiny
right.
2 is not doing as well as Sony would like it to. So I think it is probably at the pitch stage at Sony where the PlayStation execs are like, you know what?
Yeah.
Live service not working. Let's take a look at what we've got in the back catalog and let's make the properties that people actually want to play. Single player games, strong narrative focus. I don't think that's yet at the stage where they're going to be able to show us anything at this state of play.
Yeah, I would love to be wrong about that, but I think I'm
Me
with
too.
you. The one thing, like, and people in chat are pointing this out, it's like, if Sony is feeling that way, how do we explain them closing down Blue Point? Because it's just like, get them working on one of these.
Yeah.
I do think we go back to two things could be true. They maybe do look around and like, well, hey, we want to get back into the IP game. We think that's valuable. And the reason I say that is just because if you're inside of that boardroom, what other options do you have that you feel comfortable like throwing some weight behind and being confident in? But yeah, I just think that they are in a situation here where it's like, this is the thing that makes sense. They are going to try to execute on it. But also Blue Point is an expensive American remake studio. And I think it was based in America. And it's like, and that's very expensive. And we're going to do this, but maybe we'll do it with like a Virtuos. And then maybe we'll find some more affordable ways to bring back Warhawk or whatever. Alundra.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here. Oh, you know what? Actually, we should take a break. We just having so much fun talking with you, Rachel. I forgot about the break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Dungeons and Dragons game getting canceled and some other headlines. If you want to skip out on these and if you want to get bullied early and all that other stuff, go to giantbomb.com/join. Get the ad-free version there. We will be right back. All right, we are back into it for Game Mess Mornings. That's Rachel Kaser. I'm Jeff Grubb. Let's keep going here with Dungeons and Dragons game from Star Wars Jedi director has been canceled by Hasbro. This is from Dave Aubrey at VGC. Stig Asmussen's Giant Skull has had its Dungeons and Dragons game canceled, it has been reported. The decision was made by Hasbro less than a year after the game was announced, as reported by Bloomberg. Asmussen's studio, Giant Skull, was formed in 2024 to work on a AAA single-player focused action-adventure using Unreal Engine 5. In April 2024, following the success of 2023's Baldur's Gate 3, Hasbro began searching for new development partners. We're now talking to lots of partners and being approached by a lot of partners who are embracing the challenge of what does the future of the Baldur's Gate franchise look like? That was Hasbro's Eugene Evans at the time. In June 2025, it was announced that Giant Skull was partnering with Wizards of the Coast to develop a game in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. At the time, Asmus had said, our goal is to craft a new, rich new Dungeons and Dragons universe filled with immersive storytelling, heroic combat, and exhilarating traversal that players will fully embrace. Okay. Games like this they do get announced, and it always is like the reality of getting them across the finish line very different. Only giving it a year kind of screams to me that it's like, oh, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast continue to just kind of be a mess. They don't know what they want in the wake of Baldur's Gate 3. They are probably going to pay for whatever mistreatment caused the rift between them and Larian for quite some time. It's like, you say that it's probably impossible. Making stuff is so challenging, and we see like how studios like this that do have Game of the Year games, how they feel about their partners after making those games. I mean, I think it's true of From Software. It's true of Larian. It's probably difficult, but man, you got to do everything it takes when you have this golden goose, no matter how expensive it is to figure out the golden goose, right?
Yeah, and first of all, I just want to say canceling a game this early in development, because it can't have been in development before 2024 when
this is still
formed the
very
studio.
early.
Yeah, I think canceling a game this early is better than canceling it when you've invested a lot of
Very
money.
good
There
point.
are jobs on the line.
Yeah.
Asmussen said that, things are still fine over at Giant Skull. I don't think I hope there are no layoffs because of this.
Yep.
And I think it's less likely to be layoffs because of this. So there is a silver lining in that it was canceled early enough, I think, that it's not going to seriously
The entire
impact
future of the
anybody's.
studio does not seem to have hinged on this one
Yes.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's still enough good clout from Stig Asmussen's name, and even from their Wizards of the Coast partnership, that I think that they will be able to make more successful pitches to other partners. But as for Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast itself, yes, they don't know how to make another Baldur's Gate 3 as badly as they want to. And we just when I was at GamesBeat Summit, I did talk to Dan Ayub, who is the SVP head of Dungeons and Dragons at Wizards of the Coast. And part of me wanted to just name drop that, but another part of me was another part of it was that he was talking about all of the things like there are so many pitches that come out that he wants to make, but that are just not not all of them pan out. Not all of them are going to spin off into amazing D&D based games, and he's talking about like tabletop as well, not really
Of
video
course.
games per
Yeah.
se, but the point being just that now that the floodgates are open and there's so many things you can do with the D&D property, I feel like Hasbro probably got a lot of pitches and we're just kind of like rubber stamping yes, yes, yes to a lot of them, especially if they came with a name like Stig Asmussen's. But now they're doing like a risk assessment, and they're like, maybe this one isn't going to pan
Everything's
out
risky.
quite as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a shame. I really like I like most of Stig Asmussen's games, honestly. Jedi 1 and 2. Also, I think he was God of War 3, I want to say.
I think so.
Yes, and
Look that up.
I like that game a whole bunch as well.
Keep in mind, I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. Otherwise, I might know this off the top of my head.
Marino's got us. He says 3 yes in chat. So sounds. I love that game. I remember having a very good time with it, and I kind of applying his sensibilities to Dungeons and Dragons is something that always made a lot of sense to me. He says they're still talking to Wizards of the Coast and other publishers. We'll see what happens. This thing could always it will transform into something else if Giant Skull is able to keep things together over there.
They've got enough goodwill, and they have not sunk. I think they've probably not sunk enough onto this ship.
Yes.
Or that. No, that's not the right analogy. I don't think they
I get
have.
it.
Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say.
They have not like overloaded all their booty onto one ship, and now if that ship sinks, they're screwed here. Yeah, and I got exactly what you were going for, and I appreciated it. All right, let's do this next one. Embracer says it will more actively explore Deus Ex, TimeSplitters, and Saints Row partnerships, and keyword there being partnerships. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Embracer says the new steward of its biggest games IP will more actively explore external partnerships for franchises including Legacy of Kain, Saints Row, Deus Ex, and TimeSplitters. On Wednesday, Embracer Group announced its intention to split into two public companies next year, with the new entity Fellowship Entertainment taking over stewardship of Tomb Raider, The Lord of the Rings, and other franchises. Part of the formation of Fellowship will see it form a new IP licensing business unit, it said, with the objective of increasing revenue by letting external partners use its franchises for games, films, and other arenas. Commenting on the licensing plans in a letter to shareholders, Lars Wingefors, who's still in charge over there, chair of the board of Embracer Group, said Fellowship would increase its efforts to work with partners on its many owned IP. So this sounds to me like, hey, we bought a bunch of studios a few years back. Remember that heyday when I was just acquiring everything? Well, that didn't work. But we still have all this IP, and we want to make money from it. So we are going to shift into, I think that maybe the thing I am comparing this to in my head, Rachel, is what happens with the Warhammer games, where it's like the Warhammer franchise is a licensing partner powerhouse where they just find a million studios to work with, a million companies across all kinds of different stuff. And you get 5 or 6 of these games a year, all just based on Warhammer. Well, they have a lot more IP than just one IP like that. Now, Warhammer is very versatile. It can do that.
Yeah.
But some of this other, I mean, Lord of the Rings should be that versatile, right? They should be able to do a ton of different kinds of games with that. I would expect that to be their strategy. I just don't know. Are they going to be able to find enough partners for all these IP that they do have?
Oh, there are a lot of studios lying around that I'm sure would like to be able to take on a project
They call it
without
Giant Skull, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they don't have to lay off staff or close their studio. So I think yeah, the partners are out there. But like when I was just like, oh, just now, it's like that's me with Embracer Group because like they want to
Of
more
course.
actively explore Deus Ex, TimeSplitters, Saints Row partnerships. Didn't they just cancel games that were in development for all 3 of
All of
those
those.
franchises?
Yes, exactly. And that's the story here, right? They tried to do it themselves and said, oh man, this reaping of acquiring all these studios and IP, this owns. And then they had to start sowing and like, what the fuck? This sucks. And so here we are, them trying to shift into a company that gets to own stuff, which is really the business all these companies want to be in. We love to own. We
Yeah.
don't love to work. We love to have the wealth. We don't love to work and actually
And
do
we'll
labor.
we'll farm out the game development to companies that can actually
Could
maybe
take on the
accomplish
risk.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
can take on the risk and actually like uh have the resources and the I don't want to say the passion because that implies that there aren't people at Embracer Group who have the passion. I'm sure there are, but I also think that the passion is probably being smothered at this point.
Yep. It's it's the kind of thing where you it's hard to trust them, I think is what you said. And I think that's right. It's just hard to trust them that they can sort of make this maneuver and make this pivot without bringing a lot of their weird tendencies to this and kind of spoiling everything. But these are pretty prime IP. And I do think
It is.
that if they could figure some stuff out, this stuff can work, especially like a Deus Ex, a TimeSplitters, and yeah, even Saints Row. I love many of the Saints Row games. I thought it'd be hard for them to figure that out after the last one, but no, they could even figure that out. So
I'm sure they could. I'm sure if you have the right partners for that. There are people who can take on the particular Saints Row brand of humor. I do think it's funny that the story mentions Embracer's biggest franchises and mentions Dead Island specifically because I'm like,
yeah,
I remember when Dead Island was a joke.
yes, and that Dead Island 2 was better than I ever thought it would be.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it.
But even that, it's like, okay, we're still doing more of that. Well, they're mentioning it, so I guess we'll see. Yeah, I think that these companies are going to continue to, like, with this being the strategy for now. I do wonder, is there any chance ever that the pendulum swings back and maybe not that they're making crazy acquisitions, Rachel, but do you think there's a time where it's like, okay, we've had some success working with our partners, we've made some money, maybe we do want to like activate a couple more of our studios to start making games based on these franchises because things have gone well. Is that like the end game, or is it kind of the standoffish thing that Disney's sort of had with its stuff for a long time, which is we are going to stand back and let these partners take on most of the risk, and we'll get the money there at the end if things work out?
I think it depends on how well the partner companies do. If there's a consistency, I think there has to be a consistency in how well the partner companies do. I think if all of them deliver like a certain level of like mid-tier success to those IP, then I think Embracer will say like, okay, this is this is something that we can leave to our partner studios. If one of them gets like wildly, like virally successful, then I think Embracer is going to take the wrong lesson from that and be like, oh, it's the IP that's the thing. So let's pull that back in house and like keep all the money for ourselves. I
Hmm.
think, I mean, just based on what I've seen in the past, I think that's going to be the way it is. But if everything sort of like is just like the same like lukewarm level of success as a baseline, then I think they'll realize, okay, there's a pattern here, and that is that us not doing it is the key factor here.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next story here. Warhorse confirms both a Lord of the Rings RPG and more Kingdom Come are in development. This is from Stefan L. at the Sixth Axis. With the rumors swirling, Warhorse Studios has confirmed that they are working on a game in the fantasy world of The Lord of the Rings, as well as a new Kingdom Come adventure. You might have heard the rumors. They write on social media. It's time to reveal what we are working on. And they do list the two projects: an open world Middle Earth RPG and a new Kingdom Come adventure. Kingdom Come 2 did very well. So I think it's safe to assume that they are going to keep going back to that has worked well. And so, yeah, they'll go back to that well a bunch of times. And then the Middle Earth RPG. Okay, does that, I don't know, what does that look like? Does that look like Kingdom Come, but in Middle Earth? I think I would want exactly that, actually.
I would take that, and I
Yeah.
would play that. I would play the heck out of that. But notice they said Middle Earth RPG. They didn't say Lord of the Rings, which makes me wonder, is this something that's maybe going to be set in a different time period than the Lord of the Rings story? Actually, I just realized something. I'm confused about who they could be licensing this from.
So, yeah, I mean,
This is
I do think that this is, in the case of, if it's a game, it is Embracer Group is licensing
right.
it to them, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's how it must be working. Um, So yeah, this is already part of that. They've done some stuff with Lord of the Rings, obviously, but I guess, I mean, does Lord of the Rings go through Amazon? Is that what you're wondering? Because Amazon
Yeah,
has
that's
some
what I'm
stuff going on
wondering.
there.
Yeah, but Amazon canceled their games that they had in development for Lord of the Rings.
No, but they have another one though. They have another one.
Right. But ooh, rights issues are always like, oh,
Yes.
I need a lawyer to explain this to me like I'm 5.
Right. No. Yeah. I mean, like I always think about Spider-Man, right? Where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Spider-Man. It's like Sony has the rights for that. Well, for the movie character, well, they make all those games. Yeah, that's a different deal. It's oh, okay, all right. I
Yeah.
guess why am I even trying to keep up with this? Yeah. A sort of. I think the one thing about Kingdom Come that has usually pushed me away is I think the characters are just a little bit broy, like not always in the worst way, especially in 2. It was
Mhm.
not enough to make me like dislike that game by any means, but I just
Yeah.
was not like fully into the swagger of the characters that game was telling its story about. I think if
Like
you
2 was kind of like a boys road trip adventure.
yes, yeah, and that like right, and there's definitely room for that, and I think the first one definitely had a like sort of bachelor party energy to it as well, but I think
Mhm.
the second one like makes it a little bit better. Whatever, they've matured over there or something. Point I'm making here is, if you kind of strip out a lot of that stuff and you put in Lord of the Rings characters, you put in hobbits. If this game is about hobbits just trying to survive in that world, and then they can go around and explore like the Middle Earth and get into some trouble in the way that you can in Kingdom Come, or you could set up a potion shop the way you can in Kingdom Come 2. It's like, yeah, that would be very interesting to do in Middle Earth in this setting. And I kind of hope that's the route they go and don't try to like do something too far out of their wheelhouse. I'm not that I don't think they can. I just think their wheelhouse is so underserved that it'd be very cool to see a Lord of the Rings take on that.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not a huge Tolkien nerd, but I do like
Yeah, like
that there
some
is a
people.
lot of I do like that there is that huge like period before the Lord of the Rings stories when you could explore what happened like in the ages before even the ages before Sauron. There are so many cool parts of the world. Like I would be fine like exploring like the world of man before Sauron, before Lord of the Rings, or even like the Dwarven kingdoms. Well, although we kind of did that with what was it, Mines of Moria?
uh, that yeah, is that what it was called? Yeah, I can't remember the exact name, but I know what you mean. Um,
Yeah. Again,
but
2 hours of sleep.
hey, you're doing great, better than
It's
me.
gonna be fewer and fewer hours of sleep the longer I'm on the show.
I do want the number to keep going down. I have 10 minutes of sleep. Y-
But I am excited for a new Kingdom Come adventure. Like, I mean, Middle Earth, that's a bit of a wild card. You know, it could be really awesome. It could be kind of mid, but from Warhorse, I'm leaning towards awesome. I think Warhorse plus Middle Earth, I think that's going to be good. I'm not sure. It would be difficult for them to screw that up, but a new Kingdom Come adventure, we know they can make that.
Right.
I want to see what they have coming for that. I don't think it's going to be Henry necessarily. Maybe it's going to be a spin-off focusing on one of the other characters, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Kind of start growing that and doing other things so they can keep making games for a long time based on that universe. All right, let's see here. Forza Horizon 6 becomes Xbox's biggest Steam launch. Forza Horizon 6 reportedly peaked above 273,000 concurrent players on Steam, making it Xbox Game Studios' biggest Steam launch and narrowly surpassing Halo Infinite's 272,000 peak. Gaming Bolt notes that this is Steam only, with Game Pass, Microsoft Store, and Xbox console players not included. Also, it's like that peak probably would have been higher if it didn't hit 180,000 the week before, when you had to pay $120 to play the game on Steam. So
Yeah.
A lot of people had already got their first day of I can't stop playing this game. And so, yeah, you could probably combine some of those numbers, obviously not one for one, but very successful game. We knew that. It's kind of hitting all those quadrants and delivering on it. But it's hitting this number while also, I think, Rachel, being one of the marquee Game Pass games. So a lot of people are probably just getting Game Pass for this, even on PC. So just kind of successful across the board for Microsoft, right? Really the all-around hit.
I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. So, I mean, knowing that it's getting good reviews, even from people who I have not yet seen review racing games. I mean, the fact that it's getting so many flowers, I mean, I can't wait to give it a try.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Daz Hardy is in the chat saying, hey, dear Namco Bandai, Ridge Racer. There's some Ridge Racer in here. There's the Highway Racing series, and that looks a lot like Ridge Racer. They don't have quite the soundtrack to match, but you can get that one Japanese radio station going, and it's not too far off. At least it's the most fun one. But yeah, go play your Ridge Racer inside of Forza Horizon 6, and then maybe Namco Bandai will wake up and do what's right. God, what I would just want them to make a Ridge Racer type, type 4, whatever it is, type R, or R4, excuse me, sequel. Just make a R4 2. That would be the best version of Ridge Racer that we could get in 2026. All right, let's keep going here. Amazon reveals Pokemon Wind and Waves. Price, maybe, probably not. This is from Insider Gaming. Amazon looks to have revealed the release price for Pokemon Winds and Waves over a year ahead of the expected release, showcasing that players can expect to pay the higher price point for the Nintendo Switch 2 title. It's listed as 80 euros on a German Amazon page, and then the equivalent there would be $80. So the idea here being you can get this game for $80 just like Mario Kart World and nothing else. Do we think that this is the next $80 game, Rachel Kaser?
Yeah, that would make sense. They can get away with charging $80 for a Pokemon game.
Yeah. Pocopia was $70, and it does feel like they'd be all right, we took extra time to get this Pokemon game going. And now what that means is it kind of looks somewhat like a modern game, not like the best game ever made or something like that. But that means we need $80. They would be so much better served if they could just get all of the goodwill and do $70, which is already an insanely high price.
It is in this economy. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But I mean, I think they're betting on the fact that a lot of the people who are going to buy and play Pokemon games, or even buy a Switch 2 in order to play Pokemon games, that's going to be their only purchase.
Yeah.
So I think they're betting on the fact that a lot of people will have been probably saved up for Pokopia and already bought the Switch 2. So those people will already will have played Pokopia into the ground by that point and will be ready for Wind and Waves.
Yeah.
Winds and Waves.
Winds and Waves. I'm not going to I'm going to say Wind and Waves.
No.
Every
Yeah,
time,
I'm just saying Wind and Waves.
Yeah. I wonder I'm trying to see if this is for the physical version. I think it is. So I guess the possibility is that the digital version is $70, right? Mm-hmm. Because Nintendo's been doing that recently.
Yeah.
And that's one way that they could get away with this. If this is for the digital version, does that mean the physical version is 90? Let's hope that's not the case.
Oh, gosh. Don't even say that. That's terrifying.
Yep. I mean, God, I still think we're not too far away. If Nintendo can make it work, they will. But $80 for Pokemon already seems nuts. And it does feel like we're headed right toward that. Okay. Last couple of stories here. CI Games ends Lords of the Fallen 2 PC publishing deal with Epic Games. This is from Insider Gaming. But what this really means is that the game that would have been exclusive on PC, at least, to the Epic Games Store, is no longer going. That's no longer going to be the case. They're going to be able to put this out on Steam. And I originally kind of selected this story, Rachel, because I'm like, Lords of the Fallen 2, that came out a long time ago, right? And so is this a sign that like something like Alan Wake 2 could escape the Epic Game Store and come to Steam? It's like, oh no, this is a completely different thing. This game is not out yet. This game is, I could not remember that. I'm like, what is Lords of the Fallen 2? It's like, oh no, they did that one where they had Lords of the Fallen and then like Lord of the Fallen, and they were two different games. And now this is a real sequel or maybe a remake. I can't keep it all straight. Point is, this is a new game that isn't out yet. And they just let the deal dissolve, which basically just says to me, this is the continued fallout of Epic looking around and being like, what has worked for us? Free games that we give away to people and the exclusive publishing deals of games that you can only get on Epic, like Alan Wake 2, maybe didn't move the needle as much as they were, or as much as they cost us, because they are probably pretty expensive. So I think this is just maybe Epic shrinking its publishing efforts in the future, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're realizing they can't support as much as they used to with the Fortnite money. I mean, heck, we just had all those layoffs because they can't support personnel with the Fortnite money anymore. So yeah, if they're going to trim fat, I think it's definitely going to be in publishing deals that no longer serve them. I mean, it doesn't sound like it was an acrimonious split necessarily.
No,
I mean, I'm sure CI Games will be happy to get the Steam audience as well, because I think Epic Games Store exclusive. I don't think that's ever had a lot of clout, and it certainly doesn't now.
It's very hard to get people excited about the idea of exclusives on anything. That's why PlayStation is protecting it so much now, going back to like having exclusives again, because they did build that up and they need to protect that because it's very valuable to them. Epic wasn't able to do that with a couple of efforts here and there. And yeah, it's also on PC where it's weird and people don't have the same association with that. They're like, no, I just want to play stuff on Steam. And if it's not on Steam, it doesn't exist. And that's not true across the board, but for a lot of people, it is true. All right, last thing I had written down here, but we'll get to that last one that people are putting in chat as well. Xbox Game Pass titles for the rest of May have been revealed. We've been kind of covering like the recent drops on PlayStation Plus and this, mostly because they just have been pretty substantial. The following games will be added to the service across the next 2 weeks. That's Remnant 2, Winter Burrow, Luna Abyss, Escape Simulator, Echo Generation 2, The Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition, Crash Out Crew, which I'm really looking forward to playing. That's May 28th. God, we should probably play that next week. Kabuto Park, Final Fantasy VI, and Jurassic World Evolution 3. So yeah, just more stuff getting added to Game Pass. And then the last story I had here from someone in chat, thank you. Quantic Dream is abandoning its MOBA just 3 months after launch as another ill-fated live service game gets added to the pyre. All right.
Pull the story up. I hadn't heard about this until somebody dropped it in chat.
Do you remember the name of the game? Because I could not remember at all, and I just had to look at it.
Yeah, I just pulled the name. I didn't remember either. Spellcasters Chronicles.
Spellcasters Chronicles. Now I remember this game. I remember this happening. We discussed it on one of our shows. It was, I don't know if we really discussed like what they were trying to do. Seems like they were trying to make money so that they could continue to fund their other projects. And their plan was, let's make a live service game. And that did not pan out. 3 months. God, live service is just a graveyard waiting to happen if you're putting out a game that is anything short of, I don't know. Like what can, Call of Duty, I guess. That's it.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I don't want to be mean here, but looking at the images of Spellcasters Chronicles, I can't help but think this looks like all of the mobile games that I see advertised. You know how you'll get an ad for a mobile game and it's like some idle clicker gotcha BS. And it has this same sort of generic, oversaturated, high fantasy art. That's exactly what this looks like. It even has the generic name, Spellcasters Chronicles. And I just look at it, I'm like, this is by Quantic Dream? This doesn't feel like their brand at all.
It's so far removed. Like they were already doing that Star Wars game, which was going to have some action stuff in it, or I think just be an action game. That was already far afield. It's just no one was asking for this, certainly. So that meant you have to go out there and like tell people why they need this. And there was no answer to that. There was no reason to need this game.
Yeah. They could have just made a mobile game.
Yeah. I mean, probably would have been better served. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's see here. We have a poll question from earlier this week that we should get to. Let me get the most recent results over here. I am refreshing.
By
Go
the
ahead,
way,
Rachel.
I will just say on Game Pass, if you can, play Winter Burrow. It's actually quite good. It's not a very long game. It's like cozy
Okay.
survival. I actually quite liked it.
What is not too long? Like 10 hours or 5?
I probably closer to like 7, 8 hours.
Okay.
I
That's,
mean,
I mean, that sounds
it's 10.
nice.
It's 10 if you stretch it, I think.
Okay.
But I
I
didn't.
don't need more. I need less. That
No,
sounds
no.
great. Yeah.
It's got cute fantasy storybook art, and the
Okay.
main character is adorable.
Okay. Could I like show it to the kids, play it with them a little bit? Do you think they would be into it?
Well, I
No,
mean,
please tell
maybe
me. Yeah.
don't show them the opening cutscene because
Got it.
spoiler alert, the main character's parents die in from overwork in a mine, and then they move
I'm
back.
just like your old man. Yeah, I'm down
Yeah,
here working away in the gaming mines. Yeah.
and then they move back to their child, and then she moves back to her childhood home, and it's basically about like finding yourself and like found
Sure.
family after after grief and trying to rebuild yourself, and that resonated with me, especially because it's not scary. It's not overly emotional. Everything just feels, and it's also not too twee either.
Yeah. It looks like that survive. God, what's the clay game? Try to survive or whatever it's called, but with mice and stuff. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
cute looking. I'm into this. Okay, let's see here. We have the results from Monday's poll question. Are you getting Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight? Your options were yes, I'm bricked up, and no. And 66% said no, but 34% said yes, I am bricked up for it. So yeah, there you go. I think this game's going to do very, very well. Okay, let's see here. We have a new poll question that we'll get to here in a second. Before we do that, though, Rachel Kaser, tell people where they could find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all that good stuff.
You can find me at gamesbeat.com, where you can find all of my current writing. I actually just hit the 2,000 article mark at
Oh wow,
GameSpeed, which
congrats!
would be impressive if I wasn't working with Dean the Machine Takahashi,
Yeah,
who I
that
think
guy.
has like 26,000 articles
He's
on
got
GameSpeed.
2,000 in the last week. Yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep ever. I will never be able to catch up. So when Dean
no,
Takahashi is your mentor, you have like it's difficult to catch up. But I think I did pretty well with 2000. And please read my series. We also just ungated my Boss Mode series, which is about female leaders in games, because we just had our first Boss Mode awards for to honor women in the games industry, and we honored Eunice Lee from Scopely. Amy Hennig from Skydance, and let me
ooh,
make sure I have the name correct because I don't want to get the name wrong. But we also have Kubra Gundogan from Loom, as well as the up and coming rising star. So I had an award show, Jeff. I had an award show at GameSpeed
beautiful.
Summit.
Yeah, I saw the headline about that. That's very, very cool. Well done with all that. As always, I love the work you guys do over there. Glad you guys are keeping it up, and I'm glad you got to do this show as well.
Me too.
Let's see
And
here.
also I'm
Please.
getting back on TikTok as well. If you can find me, just look at my name, Rachel Kaser, and you can
R-
find my gaming news show.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I was gonna say, remind people what you do. Fantastic. People should definitely track that down. I'll be watching for sure. All right. Let's see here. I forgot to write down a poll question. Let's come up with one right now, Rachel. We could do something about the game sales or maybe Dungeons and Dragons. You know what? Let's just make it the big one. Do you think the next direct will be a general direct? Yes
Yes,
or no? We'll get the results of
that's a
that.
good question.
Yeah, that's the one. I want to see what people's sentiment is right now on what their expectations are. All right, let's see here. Oh, you know what? Real quick before we do that, a couple things. It was the clay game I was talking about was Don't Starve, and also
Don't
I
start.
do know. Yes, you sow and then you reap. You got to sow, then you reap. I got that backwards, huh? All right, let's see here. We'll get the results of that poll on tomorrow's show. Speaking of tomorrow on Giant Bomb, between today and tomorrow, we're going to have Blake Club today. Tomorrow will be Voicemail Dump Truck. But we're going to have some quick looks dropping. I think there should be some reviews going up. We'll have a new episode of Bully. We'll have a very new one for premium members. And the one that went up for premium members last week will drop today and tomorrow, or I think the one has already dropped for today. So lots of stuff happening on giantbomb.com, everybody. Go check that out. But with all that out of the way, let's thank Rachel. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for letting me yap while I'm sleep deprived on
Me
like
too.
30 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, no, I'd love to have it. I'm going to try to get you every time you just get home and you haven't slept to make for made for a really good show.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
appreciate it. We'll have you on again soon. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself and goodbye.